Hi, this video is all about preparing your printing papers. You guys, for this project, are going to make 6 prints, okay? So you need 6 pieces of paper that are, you can see my block here. These pieces of paper are bigger than your block, and they give you a 1-inch border all the way around, okay? So for this, you have to use your block because you're going to be using that to create registration marks. And you need a pair of scissors, masking tape, and a pencil. Okay, so you're going to get 6 pieces of 8x8 paper. You need your block with you, so make sure you have that. Get a pair of scissors. I'll give you some tape and take out a pencil. All right, so once you have your 6 pieces of paper, and I already finished 3 of these. Once you have your 6 pieces of paper, you're going to do several things. You're going to put your name and period on the back of each of them, okay? I put name, period. You don't need to write that down. You just need to actually write your name and your period. And then you're going to label what number print that piece of paper is going to be. So if you remember from our printmaking presentation and the video from the other day when we went over the crayon rubbing, the first print that you make is going to be 1 out of 6. So you're making 6 prints total. And the first print that you make is 1 out of 6. But the first print that you make is also called the artist's proof. It's like a practice print. It tells you what you need to adjust for your next prints to make them better. Did you use too much ink? Did you use not enough ink? Are there areas that you still need to carve out some more so that they don't show up in your print? So you're going to label your first piece of paper that you do with your name and period, and then you're going to put AP. That stands for artist proof, A/P. Okay. It's also your first print out of 6, so that would be 1 out of 6. But we always label the first print as the artist proof, AP. Okay, so you're going to do your name, period, AP for your first piece of paper. And then I'm going to show you how to do the tape in a little while. Then for your second print, it's going to be name, period, 2 out of 6. For your third print, name, period, 3 out of 6. Fourth one, name, period, 4 out of 6. Name, period, 5 out of 6. And this one I haven't done yet, so I'll go ahead and do it now. I'm going to write my name. I teach all the periods, so I can't put a particular period. And then this is print 6 out of 6. Okay, so the back of all of your prints are going to be planned out for which one it's going to be. So make sure you label the back of all of your prints, okay, with your name, your period, and then which number of print that one is going to be. Remember that your first one is AP, which also is 1 out of 6, but we're going to label it AP, okay? And then 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6, and finally 6 out of 6. And as you can see, I've already taped up number 1, or the AP, and I've done prints number 2 is already taped, and 3 is already taped. So I'll show you what to do with these next ones. Okay, so here's number 4. I'm going to turn it over to the front, okay, and then I'm going to make sure that my block is facing the right way. I'm going to flip it upside down, okay, and I'm going to center it as best I can using just my eyes, not a ruler. Okay, so it looks like it's pretty well centered. There's an even border all the way around. And I'm going to use my pencil and I'm going to make what are called registration marks. And that is, when you say registration marks, that means where you're going to line up your block when you go to print. Okay, so you want to line up your block for printing with the registration marks so that you know that your print is going to be centered. Okay, so it's just light pencil lines like that. Okay, that's all you're going to do. Do not make lines going all the way around. Don't make a whole square. All you're going to do is very light pencil lines so that you can just see the corners. Okay, so I'm just doing a little line there, a little line there, and that creates a little corner. Okay, that second one didn't line up so well, but that's okay. Okay, now these registration marks are going to be very useful for you when you go to print. So when you go to print, you're going to make sure that your block is in the right direction. You're not going to print it this way. You're not going to print it upside down. You're going to line up your block in the correct direction, and you're going to put it against the registration marks. So you're going to line up the bottom of your block with those two bottom registration marks, and then you're going to place it down to print like that within the registration marks, and then you're going to actually print. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to print later in another video, but this one is just about preparing the paper first. Okay, so then once you've got your registration marks on there, I have already done, I have to do 3 pieces of paper with tape still. So I did 12 pieces of tape. You can see them right here. They're hanging from the table. So I've already cut or torn my 12 pieces of tape. Okay, so what I did was I took the roll of tape, measured a little bit longer than it needs to be, and then took out 12 at a time, and they're all ready to go. So I don't have to keep using my roll of tape over and over again. I'm going to get all my pieces of tape ready first. Then you want to make the tape a little bit less skinny, a little bit less sticky. So you're going to put it on your clothes and get some lint on it. So you can see, I just put it on my jeans, and I got some lint on the tape, so it's a little less sticky. So now you're going to take your first piece of tape and line it up with those registration marks like this, and stick it down. So you can see it's lined up exactly with that registration mark and exactly with this one. Okay, don't worry that the pieces of tape are sticking off. Just leave it like that for now. And then you take your next piece of tape, stick it onto your shirt or your pants, get some lint on it, line it up in the other direction against the registration marks. And you just keep going all the way around until you've covered your 4 edges in tape. Here's my next piece. Got some lint on it. Line it up with the registration marks at the top. All right, and then my last piece of tape. Don't forget to put it on your shirt or your pants. Get that lint on there. When we make it less sticky, it's less likely to tear when we take the tape off at the end of the project. Okay, don't worry if your tape doesn't go quite all the way to the edge. There's a little bit of white paper showing here. No problem. Just leave it. It's fine like that. And don't cut that edge off. Okay, leave it as is. All right, now that I've got all 4 edges taped, I'm going to pick it up. And what I don't want you to do is fold this tape over to the other side, because that makes it a lot harder to take the tape off later. Instead, this is what your scissors are for. You're just going to trim the edges of your tape off. Again, don't fold the tape over. Makes it way harder to take the tape off when the project is over. Just trim off the edges of the tape. Being careful not to trim any of the paper off. Okay, so don't trim any paper off when you're doing this. You're only getting the excess tape edges off. All right, so that piece is done. All the extra pieces are cut off. And remember, this is print 4 out of 6. Okay, so you're going to just repeat that for all your pieces. You should have all your pieces labeled first, okay? Name, period, and the number of the print for all 6 pieces on the back first. Then do all your taping, okay? I'm just going to show one more. This is print 5 out of 6. I'm going to put my linoleum block, making sure that it's right side up, centered in the middle of that 8x8 piece of paper, giving myself a 1-inch border all the way around. Okay, looks pretty well centered. Take your pencil, give yourself just the little corner pieces right around the corner for those registration marks. Okay, I got my registration marks on there, all 4. One more time, just going to show putting the pieces of tape on. Grab a piece of tape, put it onto your shirt or your pants, get the lint on it, line it up with your registration marks as best you can so it's touching that edge and it's touching that edge, and then push it down. Lining up my second piece now, touching it to the edge of the registration mark. Here again, you can see some white paper on the other side. Don't worry about that. Just leave it as is and don't trim it off. Third piece, like that. And then my last piece. I'm gonna see some white space on this one too, and that's okay. Okay, so it's nicely lined up with my registration marks. Again, don't worry about these little white extra bits on the sides. We're not cutting them off, we're leaving them alone, just leaving them like that. And you might want to know the reason why we're adding all this masking tape, and it's because prints get really messy. The ink is hard to control with getting all over the place. And so when you go to print, having this masking tape on here is going to give you a much cleaner edge. So you're going to leave the tape on until the project is completely over, when you're totally done. Then you remove the masking tape and it reveals a nice clean white border, which looks great when you go to mount it on black paper for presentation. Okay, so I just cut off all those extra bits of tape that were hanging off. Remember, you're not folding the tape over the back. You're cutting it off, which is going to make it so much easier to take the tape off at the end of the project and not tear your paper. When you fold your tape over, it's way more likely that people tear the edges of their prints off, and we don't want that to happen. We want that nice, clean, crisp border at the end. Okay, so make sure you do that to all 6 of your papers. I have one more to go. So right now I've done 5 out of 6, and the last one I have to do is 6 out of 6, but I've already shown you how to do 2 of them, so I think that's enough for the video. All right,